S in ESG to actually we are all of ESG, because people are inherently part of what is the problem, right? And we need to solve for those people. So I'm going to come back to the point you're bringing in about investment shortly, but I do want to come to this beneficiary question. And I want to bring you in, Lebone. You do a lot of research in this space, and specifically about people, the impact on people, and I'd love to hear from you, in your perspective, how would you weigh in about some of the trade-offs, but also this question about investing in those trade and making sure that we have the right investments in those trade-offs.
Sure, very interesting insights from my co-panelists. What Emily is mentioning is actually part of a finding that we have discovered in the research. So we conducted research of over 300 articles, and these articles are considering the discussion or the discourse between what the practice is within impact investing, decision makers, I beg your pardon. There goes my tongue. The lunch is still in my mouth. Yeah, and what we found there was quite interesting. The first thing is that there actually is no conversation between impact investors, the beneficiaries, as well as the investees. And why is that important for decision making? What we're finding is that because there is this disjointedness, it means that when the decisions are made, you're finding that the beneficiary's voice is actually never heard. And when the beneficiary's voice is never heard, what the investee then tends to do is to upplay the communication of impact in order to attract the investment, while pushing back the voice of the beneficiary that actually the impact is intended for. So the question that we need to ask is, why is that the case? Are we not providing the correct platforms for the beneficiaries to speak for themselves, other than an annual report that gives you a quote of what the beneficiary felt or experienced as impact? And the second part, where it relates to decision making, is how do we know that the beneficiaries have truly experienced impact that is appropriate and that can be scalable? So how do we know that? Those are the questions that we should be asking. What we're also finding in that research is the bias towards impact being positive. When we talk about impact investing, it's already assumed that impact is going to be positive. But where do we miss the lines in not reporting the negative consequences of the impact? Or the investments, or I'd say the outcomes of the investments from what the programs would deliver. So those are some of the findings that we're finding in our research. What also becomes more important when it comes to scaling impact is when maybe speaking about the power of the individual having dignity and using that to, I'd say foreground the work in collectively then creating healthy cities, is that voice of the beneficiary, the moment it's either muted or it's, it moves along the scale of communication between the investor and investee, is if that voice of the beneficiary is actually now accelerated on an upward trajectory, what it means is that some other form of capital might actually be unearthed, whether it's social capital, whether it's built capital, whether it's, as what we're also picking up other than that, is human capital, such that the beneficiary themselves, what they will bring to the table as part of delivering the impact is that type of capital, not necessarily the type of debt and equity capital that we're discussing in the room today.